Chapter 3 is the first of the finance chapters in the preliminary course. In Chapter 3, the content you will cover, according to the syllabus, is aspects of this F1.1. You're going to come across the concept of tax and GST. However, that is a small part of the chapter. By far the biggest part of the chapter is this F1.2, earning and managing money. So you might like to have a look through those points to give you a bit of an overview on what is contained within this chapter. And certainly by the end of the chapter you might look back at these and definitely see that we've talked about calculating salaries and wages, calculating income tax, etc. But for now, let's get started. Exercise 301 talks about wages, salary and overtime. And before I get into the finance aspect of this exercise, I just want to do a little skills check with you. Just go over a couple of processes that you need to be familiar with so that you can actually do the calculations in the rest of the chapter. So things that you need to be familiar with are that 1 year is 52 weeks. You'll see also when we get to a salary down here that that's going to change because there are in fact not exactly 52 weeks in a year, and we take that into consideration, but only when talking about a salary. Otherwise, if it's a wage, we use 52 weeks in a year. 1 year is definitely 12 months, and there's no variation on that. 1 year is also 26 fortnights, and again, unless we're talking about a salary, and you'll see that clarification when we get to the salary section. You know that to get a percentage, you must start with a fraction. If the question is asking you to find the percentage, then you need to start with a fraction, as opposed to the question that asks you to find the percentage of an amount. Now, these are two very different sorts of questions. If the question is asking you to find the percentage of an amount, you're going to give an amount as your answer. And what you do in that case is you convert your percentage to a fraction and decimal, and then you multiply by the amount. Now, I'm aware that throughout the chapter that you could be asked to do, either one of these. Express two amounts as a percentage, hence you form a fraction, or you could be given the percentage and asked to find an amount. Like I said, that was just a little skills check to ensure that you are able to do the maths for the finance part of the chapter. Okay, let's move on and talk about wages. A wage is a payment calculated on the number of hours worked. Now, most of you who have part-time jobs at the moment, you know your wage is calculated based on how many hours you work, and it will vary from week to week. Those weeks where you don't have quite as many hours, you've experienced a smaller payment. Your wage is less. Some of you may have been in a situation where you have earned overtime, and if you're working on a public holiday, you may have found that you're entitled to time and a half, which means your hourly rate is adjusted by a factor of 1.5. You're getting 1.5 times your normal rate. Overtime is sometimes categorized as double time, and you get 2 times your normal hourly rate. Double time and a half is a 2.5, and triple time is 3 times your normal hourly rate. Now, that's overtime applies to wages. When we move into salaries, we don't have the concept of overtime because a salary is a fixed annual payment. Regardless of the number of hours you work in a particular week or when you work them, you will be paid a fixed amount. It could be paid weekly, fortnightly, or monthly. Now, when we come to work out monthly payments, there's no problem because we know that 1 year is definitely 12 months. No problem for monthly repayments. Please be aware that 1 month is not exactly 4 weeks, and don't ever convert a weekly salary by multiplying it by 4 to get a monthly salary. That is not the case. Even a monthly wage, we don't calculate by multiplying a weekly amount by 4. We do know that, however, that 1 year in terms of a salary is now 52.18 weeks because we saw that, or you can see that 52 weeks times 7 days is 2 7s are 4, 7 5s 35, 1's 36 days, but we know that that is not 1 year. We say that 1 year is 365 days. So that extra day is accounted for when we're talking about a salary, and so we talk about 52.18 weeks. And only use 52 weeks when we're talking wages. I'm going to stop the explanation there, finish the video up, and go through the examples in a separate video.